Every heroic journey has sacrifices. Every person has moments in their life where they have to make tough decisions.
It's intense. It's emotional.
Hard fights and bitter losses and stuff.
Something about making the decisions, right or wrong, good or bad.
So, how do you want to do this?
For those of you just joining us, Michael, I was hoping that you could dig a little bit deeper into one of the things you kept mentioning in our tour guide to Jorjas in the realm of Wildemount. Can you tell me a little bit more about a Horizonback tortoise?
So I love Horizonback tortoises. These are a monster that you'll find in the Explorer's Guide to Wildemount. They are enormous. They are about as big as a dragon turtle. Um, they are gargantuan by the rules itself. They are so large that you can actually build structures atop them. And they're generally kind enough creatures that they'll let you build structures on top of them and also tame them to a degree. They are most commonly used by goblinkin, so much so that Horizonback tortoises understand goblin, although they cannot speak themselves.
As a big Discworld fan, I'm always a fan of moving around on a turtle. But of course, there are many, many other inspirations and things that feed into this. And we get this gorgeous art of them. Now, you could use them in multiple ways, right? You could use them for travel or potentially set up shop up there or even for combat.
Absolutely. So Horizonback tortoises. So if you're able to tame one of these and make use of it, um, perhaps you might put some siege weaponry atop one of them. That's actually the premise behind the free adventure that is included in this article. It's a free adventure hook. It kind of gives you some ideas of how you might actually use a Horizonback tortoise in a low level adventure. In this particular adventure hook, you'll get to use and mount a Horizonback tortoise that has a cannon atop its back, and you must work together in order to destroy the walls of the ruins that have been reclaimed by some goblins that just don't want to go back home. So this is just a really fun little way to just pull out a siege weapon, be like, I want to put it on this creature. We want to go over here, and we're going to do this, and it's just like a cute little thing you can do.
Which I highly recommend everybody take a look at. Now, should you be unwise enough to want to tangle with one of these creatures, it comes in as a gargantuan monstrosity, unaligned, and comes in at a challenge rating 8. Any tips for tangling with the tortoise?
So my biggest tip is don't get underneath the tortoise. That could be really bad. These things are thousands of pounds in weight. The creatures themselves, in my opinion, are not that deadly if you're, of that level. They don't have a whole lot of attacks. I believe they only just have the one bite attack. They're not very fast. They're going to be moving pretty slowly, so you'll be able to kind of keep your distance from them if you feel the need to take one down. I will say that if you're looking to tame a Horizonback tortoise, these creatures, if you're playing in the world of Exandria, they tend to reside in Jorhas, the wastes of Jorhas. And this is a region that does not have a lot of resources. There's not a lot of food. And so if you have a Horizonback tortoise that's trying to kill you, these creatures are omnivorous, so it's probably just hungry. So if you have a create food and water spell handy, perhaps that's one way that you can earn the love and trust of your very own Horizonback tortoise.
What happens if you give a Horizonback tortoise a good berry?
That's a really great question.
Might have to set up a companion business to your travel guide where I'm like travel snacks.
Something
All right. Anything else that we need to know? I love that the armor class is 17 natural armor, 22 while in its shell. of course, an important distinction. Hmm. Any other
Yeah,
highlights
and
of these
that's
creatures?
yeah, that's what I mean. Probably my favorite thing about the Horizonback Tortoise is that there are so many different uses for them. So let's say you're a dungeon master and you really like this creature, but you're not sure how to bring them in a way that will excite your players, or maybe you want them to stick around for a while. You can have a Horizonback Tortoise function for your players as a mobile base, and anytime in combat, you could say the Horizonback Tortoise maybe is easily frightened. And so it uses its shell defense anytime combat is rolled or anytime initiative is rolled. And that way, you're giving your players a really fun creature, a really creative way for them to build their own base, to customize it by building atop the tortoise itself, but you're also not giving them a strong monster that's going to be fighting alongside them.
Mm. A defensive mobile thing, which, for the record, can carry up to 20,000 pounds of weight on its shell. So, some serious payload ability on the Horizon back tortoise.
Yeah, suck it, bag of holding.
um, truly test the limits of putting things into other things on D&D Beyond by attempting to figure out what 20,000 pounds of stuff you're going to put in your on your tortoise. I guess a tortoise isn't an item, but you got where I was going with that. Now we've had a couple of questions roll in over the course of the stream. So before we wrap up, let's see. EMT Man asks, "What is the best, worst, cursed item in you're saying the adventure. I took that as a general like travel guide tip. What would you design for your Jorhas Ways best, worst, cursed item?"
Something that's really prevalent throughout the wastes of Jorhas is there are abyssal creatures. So there's a town that I did not cover called I wrote it down. Bazuzan. Bazuzan? Bazuzan? Um, so this is really cool. So this was a town that was discovered by a group that traveled through the barbed fields, and they found this abandoned town, and so they built a settlement here atop the ruins, and then discovered that there was a temple there that functioned basically as like a gate through which abyssal creatures could travel through. So this town it's still standing to this day, but a big part of its function is to effectively keep that temple sealed so that more creatures cannot funnel out of it. So if I were to make some sort of cursed item or something of that sort, I would have it in some way connected to the abyss. Perhaps it is a portable hole that is cursed to actually function as a gate spell for maybe some particular type of abyssal creature.
So maybe avoid Bazazan is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Unless I'm looking for adventure, which there's a good chance I am. Abyssal Icarus, nice link up there, asks, "Do you think Risona would have a higher population of vampires because of the convenient lack of sunlight?"
perhaps that's actually I'd never thought of that. And yes, of course, that's a really great idea for like a mini adventure in Roshana is that you actually find out that there's vampires that live there.
And on that menacing note, Michael, thank you so much for joining me on the stream today. Where can people find you for more of this stuff or deeper dives like those articles we just talked about?
So you can find me on D&D Beyond. I'm constantly publishing more content to the site. We just published today a short guide to Marquette. It includes information, what little information we know about Marquette, which is another location that called the Netherdeep is expected to take adventures. You can also find me on Twitter at Michael Galvis.
And I'm Amy Dallin. Please check out those pre-order links, and we will see you next time on D&D Beyond.
It's D&D.